Welcome back, folks. No intro today. We're getting straight into this, and I'm gonna have to put on the screen when Fantastic Four is coming. Don't worry, I hold that thought for 1 second. Oh. You know what? I'll just show you that, because if you don't know one thing, even though Fantastic Four is releasing on July 24th, but guess what else is releasing on July 24th? That's correct. Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers. Yes, if for different things, okay? But I know so. Different audience, different hype. However, Fantastic Four, it's not looking good.
But anyhow, let's dive into this word that Disney is supposedly nervous about the Fantastic Four film. This article from Deadline talks about it along with the projected opening weekend numbers for Fantastic Four. In that second paragraph, it says Disney is expected to ring in the last $100 million plus opener of the season from the first weekend of May through Labor Day, with Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four First Steps, which tracking has comfortably between 100 and 110 million on July 25th.
Okay, Disney is nervous, but stat look good. Based on the pre-sale, it says, okay, the stat looks good. 13 million pre-sales as of Monday. I'm pretty much certain it's going to be higher the moment this video is uploaded. The Thunderbolts have about 74.3 million. Captain America: The Brave New World, 88.8 million in 3 days. 20% behind Superman, 125 million. Oh wait, of course, May 1st is actually Labor Day. Of course it is. Of course, people go to the weekends, but then again, that's not the point of this. Hang on, let me check. Yeah, I think it's a good time, but all depends on what's going to happen next. Word of mouth, okay? Word of mouth is going to be the one thing keeps this movie coming with viewers. Or perhaps in this case, viewers come to them. All depends.
But the stats look good, with $13 million pre-sales as of Monday. Fantastic Four is pacing ahead of the pre-sales for Thunderbolts, which hit $74.3 million on its opening weekend, and Captain America: Brave New World, which had an $88.8 million opening, and 20% behind Superman, which ended up at about $125 million. So, let's talk about this notion, this rumor, that Disney is nervous about the Fantastic Four numbers. Now, obviously, Deadline's job is to spin things into a positive in order to get people hyped up about the movies so that their Hollywood masters can make a bunch of money. That's why this writer says he doesn't understand why Fantastic Four's box office projections would make Disney nervous. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it likely has a lot to do with this right here.
Okay, let's see. Superman and the Fantastic Four First Step early opening weekend projection predict massive DC and Marvel releases. The question is, can Fantastic Four beat Superman? That's the real question. And yes, if you read the title of this video, it is 680% cooked.
This article from Screen Rant was written a month ago or so, talking about how big the Fantastic Four opening weekend was going to be. And this is what it said. According to Box Office Theory, DC's Superman is early tracking for a domestic opening weekend in the $140 to $185 million range. Yeah, that ended up being way too high as well, didn't it? But anyhow, Marvel's The Fantastic Four First Steps could debut at 125 to 155 million. It is important to note that since both superhero movies are still a fair bit away, tracking for their domestic openings will fluctuate as they get closer to release.
There is one thing they should know, is that word of mouth, okay? If any of them, let's say any of them try to disrespect the fans or anything, those movies will flop like crazy. Yes, there are some people will go there, but generally speaking, if the cast or the crew or anybody in either the Fantastic Four or James Gunn's Superman attack the fans, calling them bigots, or perhaps in this case, this movie is about politics such as immigration without putting the word illegal immigration in it, then that's gonna be a problem. But again, like I said, if you like this movie, all the power to you. No one is saying no to you. It is your decision to make.
Said, the projections are exciting, as the upcoming DCU movie could be the major performer that the studio needs to launch a new universe, and Marvel's slate of projects after the Fantastic Four reboot could carry the momentum of the film.
Just remember one thing, this is the only theory, okay? Because sometimes theory can be proven true, sometimes it can be proven wrong, okay? Like for example, this one, they estimated 140 million to 185 million for DC Superman, which ended up being lower than that. Now for Fantastic Four, the first step, based on this, I'm not certain if it could reach 125 million or 155. I'd be shocked it passed both of these things, okay? Because don't forget, it released on Thursday. Yeah, maybe it will be slow at first, but when it comes to the weekend, it's gonna be project, well, perhaps their viewership or moviegoers, their sales will go up. But that only lasts a few days or so before people have to go back home and go to work.
Like I said, Disney is really banking on this movie generating momentum for the rest of the MCU moving forward. The Fantastic Four is a big name. Unlike the Thunderbolts or the hand-me-down version of Captain America, this is a major league IP that, in theory, should have the power to catapult the MCU back into some semblance of positivity, but those numbers from a month ago were projecting a high end of $155 million for the opening weekend. Now, they're saying that the high end is $110 million. That is a roughly 30% drop off in projections, and keep in mind that the low end of the projections is where these Marvel movies have been landing lately, which would put Fantastic Four into territory somewhere around $100 million. That isn't too far off from the opening of Captain America Brave New World, which hit $88 million on its opener and limped to a finish of a little over $400 million, with a production budget reported at $200 million and likely at least $100 million spent on marketing for the Fantastic Four film. This movie is likely needing somewhere around $600 million just to break even, and breaking even is not at all what Disney wants and in fact needs for this film. They need something big.
I don't know, folks. I think with what's currently happening, because remember, there is also domestic and international. There are some superhero movies can do better internationally and some can do better domestically. It usually depends on what kind of content these superhero movies has, okay? When it comes to making money, many companies would probably just censor things like, do you remember Star Wars? Why in the Chinese poster, Finn was never in the poster? So far, I think the Chinese or perhaps the Asian version, all of them are still intact. There's no black people or anything, which, let's take for example Wakanda Forever. In the domestic poster, Shuri is seen without the mask. I think that's what I saw. I just had to recheck this. But on the Asian version, or in this case China version, we see Shuri wearing a mask. Why is that?
This right here. A few days ago, this story started circulating big time in the wake of Pedro Pascal making everyone's eyes roll with this talk that he was following Vanessa Kirby in the Fantastic Four film, making it seem like Reed Richards was no longer the leader of the group. Instead, it was going to be Susan Storm. They made it clear in this story, though, that Reed Richards will be the leader of the Avengers in the next Avengers movie.
Well, how he's gonna do that? Because there is also Captain America, aka Sam Wilson, and there's also Carol Danvers. I'm 100% certain those two are eyeing for leadership. You know what? Let's make a poll. Reed Richards face against Sam Wilson and Captain Marvel. Which one of these three will win the leadership? Say in the comments, who do you vote for? For the new Avengers, I think I'm voting for Spider-Man, okay? Even though most people say he doesn't deserve it, he's just mostly grounded, but hey, at least he has a way for leadership. And don't forget, Spider-Man did lead the Avengers one time. I'm 100% certain that he did. If I'm not, then correct me if I'm wrong, okay? The problem is that, oh yeah, which reminds me, Disney now says to all their employers, if any candidates or future hiring, let's say they saw someone who reads the comic, then that's a red flag, meaning they cannot be hired. That's the thing, because if they found a cast who reads the comic, then that's a red flag to them. Disney, or even in this case Marvel, doesn't allow any of their cast to read the comics. Let's take for example Naughty Dog, or in this case the HBO. You know what? Let's say Hollywood. Why does Hollywood forbid every cast to play either, I don't know, Uncharted or Borderlands or even The Last of Us? Why is that? It's because Hollywood doesn't care about video games, and I'm 100% certain that Hollywood doesn't care about Marvel Comics. I mean, why do you think Marvel don't allow their cast to read the comics? Or perhaps in future hirings, they wouldn't allow people who reads the comics. Seriously, think about that.
They know that people are not interested in yet another film where a male hero is supplanted by a girl boss. So this headline here is them just running damage control. And who knows if it's even true. The point is, they need you to think it is so they can fool you just long enough to buy a movie ticket to Fantastic Four, because those opening weekend projections are trending absolutely in the wrong direction for Disney, and it looks like this film, which was supposed to be the biggie for this year from the company, they will not come anywhere near last year's Deadpool and Wolverine. That one wasn't much of an MCU film if you ask me, more of an old school Fox Marvel cash grab, banking on actually popular portrayals of actually popular characters. In any case, as you can see, that movie hit over $200 million on its opening weekend, and it went on to bring in over $1.3 billion. But without that sort of nostalgia bait, everything the MCU touches these days is just bland and flavorless, which is why it looks like this Fantastic Four movie is going to make about half of what Deadpool and Wolverine brought in on the opening weekend.
Honestly, I would be shocked if they surpass Deadpool and Wolverine, okay? I will be shocked, that is. I don't know, folks. I think now you know. I'm certain some of you who is new or return viewers would know that Avengers Endgame is in fact the end, hence the title. I mean, seriously, what will it take for Marvel to just do better? But then again, we all know Marvel's not gonna listen, or even in this case, Marvel and Disney will not listen to Marvel fans or comic book fans, and I'd be shocked they made way past, or perhaps they even reach the level of revenue of Deadpool and Wolverine. I did heard something from Ryan Reynolds saying that Disney doesn't pay him much. Well, without Deadpool and Wolverine, which everyone knows that that kind of movie was good, well, some people don't, but hey, it is better than any Marvel movies that are either bland or mid at best. So without Deadpool and Wolverine, I think Marvel is screwed. So this is why it is 680% cooked. Leave a like and subscribe if you want gaming news, gaming theories, or you just want to see me play games. Visit my first, third, and fourth channel up here or link in the description.